Okay, today's Easter, so I wanted to do something in the spirit of that holiday. And who is the better symbol of Jesus and triumph of good against evil in the 40k other than the Star Child, the epitome of goodness, kindness and all those other positive emotions. So in today's video we shall be putting up Star Child against analog horror to see which analog horror creatures, if any, could survive against him. Yeah, you heard that right, we are not looking at which one of them could destroy Star Child, because no creature on this list can do that, but rather just which ones have the greatest shot of surviving whilst trying to accomplish their objectives. We shall also be using two forms of the Star Child, the current unborn god and the theoretical fully awakened Star Child. When it comes to Star Child's opponents, we shall be pitting 4 analog horrors against him, those being Mandela Catalog, Gemini Home Entertainment, Boiled One and finally Vita Carnes. So let's start with just how powerful is Star Child. In his current unborn form, it's kinda tough to talk about him because it's heavily implied that although the Golden Throne Emperor, Star Child and Machine Force/Spirit are all separate entities, they are all technically, arguably, one entity. Kind of like in Christianity where you have the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit that are all considered one entity but are also separate at the same time. Basically, actions of the Golden Throne Emperor should scale to the abilities of the Star Child, as well as in reverse of course. So just remember that a lot of what I say will be speculations, interpretations and implications found in the lore. So what are the primary abilities of the Star Child? Well, he has an entire legion of the damned as his lesser demons. They should scale to several times the strength and speed of the normal Astartes, as well as being basically unkillable due to them just returning to the warp after they are defeated to reform. A legion of the damned are most likely former Astartes that have died protecting humanity from eldritch horrors that lied beyond the veil of human comprehension. Or they could have just died fighting orcs. But that's not the important. What is important is that due to them dying defending humanity, they have a huge boner for anyone that stands their ground against overwhelming odds to, defend innocent or the people that they love. As such, your best bet when fighting against eldritch horrors beyond your comprehension is to start throwing haymakers and praying that the Legion of the Damned picks the signal. Legion of the Damned are also known to throw down with several chaos greater demons like bloodthirsters at once and come out on top. To keep that in perspective, one greater demon is more often than not enough to wipe out an entire planet. One thing that Legion of the Damned are not is talkative. They fight, die and apparently curbstomp chaos champions in complete silence. In short, they're not that great diplomats. You need someone with charisma and aura to do that. Enter the greater demons of the Emperor or the Living Saints. They are/were normal human beings given Star Child's warp energy and thus transformed into his greater demons. Although technically they would be closer to demon princes rather than greater demons, but I don't care about semantics, so whatever. These guys, or I guess a lot more of them are women, so these gals are gifted with natural charisma and aura that makes everyone around them like them or even want to die for them, basically turning them into simps. During the fall of Cadia, I'm pretty sure that Celestine was getting her ass whooped by Abaddon, and just as Abaddon was about to kill her, guards started throwing themselves at him to slow him down whilst also trying to bayonet him, which is just a funny mental image. They also pick their battles much more than the Legion of the Damned. They are way more strategic about where they intend to show up and what they intend to do. Also, one more important thing to mention is that they are immune to possessions and conceptual attacks like revelations of the secrets of the universe. They are immune to former because they already sold their soul to the Star Child, so if you intend to take it, you gotta beat him up, which is just not happening. And the latter because they exist in the warp, which is itself a realm of eldritch horrors and secrets of the universe. So much so that even if you look at the warp for just 1 nanosecond, you have a good chance of either turning into a demon host or just flat out going insane. The only way to sort of shield yourself from this is by having such faith in the Emperor and hatred for the demon that you would rather throw hands than want to run away, and even then that doesn't guarantee your safety. And one last thing I wanna say about the unborn Star Child is that just like Big E, he has blinding light around him that either destroys demons outright or severely, and I do mean severely, degrades and weakens them. He can also give demons permanent death if he wishes to, although that does require him to be aware of his actions, which he is currently not to any great degree. Now, the only thing left to cover is how powerful will he be in his fully awakened form. And this is gonna require a bit of theorizing, but just stick with me for a bit. We know that in the Siege of Terra, the Chaos Gods hoped that the Emperor would become the 5th Chaos God, the Dark King. They knew that he would be much stronger than all of them combined, but they hoped that he would join them and become their leader. Now, of course, this didn't happen. The ritual for the Big E to turn into the Scarlet King Light was stopped by none other than the Christian goat himself, Elenius Pius. Yeah, other people helped, but that goes against my narrative of Elenius being the sole reason humanity didn't die, so I refuse to mention them. Oh yeah, I almost skipped that part. If the Big E continued and ascended, he would have killed every single human being in the entire galaxy. There was a moment during the siege where everyone stopped and felt a dark presence looming behind them that was sure to be their end and the death. Okay, let's quickly move to the previous part of the Dark King being stronger than all 4 Chaos Gods. Each Chaos God exists in infinite realities, can travel through those realities, and are basically unkillable by any other being other than another Chaos God. If you wanna have more detailed explanation on this and just how bonkers Chaos Gods are, watch this video after you're done with this one. After Big E relinquished his destiny as the Dark King, he threw one of his noble shards into the warp, which kept growing, being empowered by worship of quadrillions upon quadrillions of humans. Narratively speaking, Starchild and the Dark King are two sides of the same coin. Two paths Emperor could have walked, those being of a tyrant who cares not for his people, only victory, and the one of a sacrificial king who suffers every day for safety of his servants. All of this to say is that I think once Starchild hatches, probably being caused by the death of the Emperor, he should be on the same level as the Dark King. I have very little lore to prove this, but narratively it does make sense. Since when the Emperor relinquished his destiny to become the Dark King, it seems, or at least it's heavily implied, that that destiny went to Abaddon. So narratively it makes sense that the final climactic showdown of the 40k story would be between the Starchild and the Dark King, with both of them having their allies by their side. Abaddon / Dark King having Chaos Gods, and the Big E / Starchild having remaining Eldar Gods like Zekogore, Chiniad, Isha, and maybe even Cain, alongside other neutral allies like the Catan. Is this gonna happen? No. 40k is too profitable to get end-timed. I'm saying that narratively it makes sense, so that's my justification for scaling Starchild to the Dark King. With that said, let's cover Starchild's opponents, starting with the Boiled One. Boiled One is a cognito hazard, meaning once you watch a show in which he is present, he can infect your mind and paralyze you whilst also remaining in your peripheral vision. Some people have also reported having the feeling of him eating their spines, which makes sense since we see him getting larger and larger with each installment, by stealing other people's vertebrae and using them as his own. He also appears to have several arms, but I don't know where he got those. It's also implied that he is / was a Japanese soldier, Mutsushiro Watanabe, I don't know, I just probably butchered that one, who was notorious for torturing American POWs. And it would appear that he somehow ascended into like a demon, and that he has some connections with the apocalypse, since we see him break apart the sky that follows the river of blood alongside play trumpets that symbolize the times of ending. With all that being said, he doesn't seem to exert great deal of influence over the normal world, and we haven't seen him do any impressive deeds. I literally can't see any way in which he can survive even the Legion of the Damned, let alone living saints. Best case scenario for him is that either the saints or the Legion of the Damned take pity upon him and take him into the warp to see the Starchild and let him be redeemed. I mean, Starchild does seem to be quite fond of the redemption stories. So yeah, in short, Boiled One gets no gift. Next up, we got the only analog horror that actually managed to scare me a bit, that being the Mandela catalog. Okay, where to even begin? So there are demons. Demons somehow manage to shackle and imprison Jesus somewhere and take his place by manipulating religions into worshipping them and thus giving them power. Then they start possessing people by telling them eldritch horrors, which make them commit die, and upon the host's termination, demons possess their corpses and thus they become the alternates. They are probably doing this to take over the governments and stray people from God's light even further. That being said, there are people that don't die from the exposure to the secrets of the universe, but rather choose to fight them. I think you can already see where this is going. We don't really see alternates showing great deal of power. Sure, they can kill regular people and Gabriel can probably kill hundreds at once, but they mostly rely on subtle manipulations. So this is what I think would probably happen. People that decide to not put a bullet through their skull but rather opt to fight against the horrors in order to save mankind are definitely getting the protection from the Legion. When it comes to the Imperial Saints, they're probably gonna start deconstructing demons' plots and they're probably gonna be very good at it. I mean, who would you rather trust, a rusty old politician or the literal angel that exudes the aura of confidence and comfort? I could definitely see people also start worshipping Starchild, which would make him even more powerful, since he wouldn't need to just feed on emotions but rather also on worship of the faithful. The only thing that might prove a problem is the Gabriel, aka Satan, because we don't know the full extent of his powers, so he might be able to start waging conventional war against the Saints and the Legion with military personnel of the fallen countries. That is, if we are using unawakened Starchild. If we are using fully awakened Starchild, then he can just temporarily possess some rando and delete the soul of the devil from the existence. So yeah, Mandela catalog is the mid difficulty if you're using unawakened Starchild and low difficulty if you're using fully awakened Starchild. Next up we got the vita carnes, and to keep the story short, they are an alien species that consists of multiple semi-different variants that are all working towards the same goal of probably consuming the earth. They also have the support of, to the surprise of no one, the earth elites, that are basically setting humanity on the path of destruction by deceiving and lying to them. I don't have much more to say about them, they are quite simple. Think of them more like gene stealers but smarter and more powerful. With that being said, they still get clapped. Saints are definitely going to organize resistance against the governments and they're definitely gonna win that fight. Legion of the Damned are also made from warp fire, and fire is a direct counter to the flesh of the vita carnes. And I don't think I have to tell you that fully awakened Starchild can definitely just move his hand and make every string of vita carnes explode Dr. Manhattan style. There are also singularities, which are balls of some sort of liquid, but I don't know how powerful they are, but if I had to guess, I would highball them and put them barely below the power of the Necron Overlord. Which, don't get me wrong, means that they are powerful, but we just haven't seen them do anything in the story, so I don't know what to do with them. So basically vita carnes is mid to high difficulty depending on how powerful you think the singularities are, that is against unborn Starchild of course. Up against fully awakened Starchild they get low diff. Last one on the list is Gemini Home Entertainment. Take everything I just said about vita carnes, but now there's an entire planet, just like that weird Tyranid planet plot that got nowhere, that is trying to eat Earth. Listen, as much as I want to say that the Saints and the Legion can clutch this one as well, realistically they're not powerful enough to destroy an entire planet. Their only plan that can maybe work would be opening up a warp rift large enough to swallow a planet whole, which, as badass as that sounds, I don't think that they're capable of creating a second Eye of Terra on their own. So I guess this is the genuine definitive L for the 40k on this list. That is, if you are using unborn Starchild. Fully awakened Starchild can just create the second Eye of Terror no problem, or just destroy the planet outright. I don't know where I read this, but I'm pretty sure that some chaos god, if I recall correctly, Zinch, directly talked to one of his servants just for a moment, and the entire planet just cracked due to the power of his voice. So I guess Starchild just has to say no really confidently, and that's it, the planet is going kaboom. Okay, that would be it. If you liked this video, be sure to smash like and subscribe, comment if I missed anything, if you agree or disagree with me, and I'll see you later. Goodbye and have a good day.